What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Monday, January 29th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an 11-game slate here tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. All right, I like Spencer Dinwiddie from the Brooklyn Nets playing the Utah Jazz, who have the fourth worst defense overall, give up the fourth most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Now Spencer Dinwiddie averaging 28.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 30.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.7 times value. He's only $5,300 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 233.5 points scored in this game. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 29 and 21 fantasy points in the last two games, playing 35 and 32 minutes. So if he can get 30 plus minutes here tonight in a good matchup, he also has fantastic player versus team history. Spencer Dinwiddie scored 49, 42, 58, 42, and 25 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Jazz. So I do think he's severely underpriced here on DraftKings, but I like his price on both sites. So I like Spencer Dinwiddie here versus the Utah Jazz. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. So you can also play him as a point guard. I like Jrue Holiday from the Boston Celtics, playing his former team, the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Pelicans. So the Pelicans, average defense, average versus point guard, shooting guards. So Jrue Holiday averaging 31 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. Now he's projected at 33.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.5 times value. So he's only $6,100 DraftKings salary. Now he is $1,200 more on FanDuel. So I think this would be a DraftKings play for me. Vegas thinks there's going to be 233.5 points scored in this game. Now Jrue Holiday scored 18, 33, and 39 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 28, and 38 minutes. So he's averaging 34 minutes per game on the season. So I imagine that if he plays well here tonight, they're going to let him go. They're going to let him run. And his player versus team history is pretty good here. Jrue Holiday has put up 34, 47, 42, and 56 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Pelicans. So I like Jrue Holiday here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. So I like Kellin Johnson from the San Antonio Spurs playing the Washington Wizards, who have the absolute worst defense overall, give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Kellin Johnson, averaging 31.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 30.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 5,900 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 240.5 points scored in this game. And Kellin Johnson scored 34 and 50 fantasy points in the last two games, playing 27 and 29 minutes. So it's a fantastic matchup here, and he's played well versus the Wizards, scoring 33, 51, 42, and 46 fantasy points in his last four games versus the Wizards. So I like Kellin Johnson here versus the Washington Wizards. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. So I like Aaron Gordon from the Denver Nuggets playing the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the 7th worst defense overall, give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Aaron Gordon, averaging 29.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He's projected at 26.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's only 5,600 DraftKings salary, and he's the same price on FanDuel, so I love that FanDuel price. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 239.5 points scored in this game. Aaron Gordon scored 29, 23, and 16 fantasy points in his last three games, playing 31, 29, and 32 minutes. So he's had consistent minutes, and I like his season average here. It would put you a little bit over 5 times value if he could score 29 fantasy points. And I also like his player versus team history. Aaron Gordon scored 23, 56, 39, 38, and 45 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Bucks. So I like Aaron Gordon, especially on FanDuel here versus the Milwaukee Bucks.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position. So take a look at this guy, Victor Wembanyama from the San Antonio Spurs playing the Washington Wizards, who have the absolute worst defense overall, give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Now, Victor Wembanyama, he's averaging 46.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. So he's projected at 39.1 fantasy points here tonight, but that projection just seems way too low. I'm going to edit this projection. Let's go with 42 fantasy points here. No, I mean, his season average is 46.1. Let's just conservatively go with 45 fantasy points here. Let's take a look at Victor Wembanyama. So if he scores 45 fantasy points here tonight, that's 5.1 times value. He's still only 8,900 DraftKings salary. Now he has 1,400 more on FanDuel. The pricing is right on FanDuel, just underpriced on DraftKings. So Victor Wembanyama, he's averaging, Vegas thinks there's going to be 240.5 points scored in this game. So high scoring game here, fantastic matchup. He's not on a back-to-back, fast-paced game. And Victor Wembanyama, He scored 53, 52, and 55 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 29, 28, and 27 minutes. So 3 games in a row, dropped over 50 fantasy points, and actually his last 5 games scored a 49 and a 50. Let's go ahead and just load this guy up. Let's look at his scoring history here. Oh yeah, you get Charles Basley and Zach Collins both banged up, so he's just, he's getting all the usage while he's in there. And since the 20th, when he played the Wizards for 50, then 49, then 55, 51, 52, just unbelievable consistency and production. And his price tag has pretty much stayed the same. And that is why I like this pick. And he's got a good matchup. So at the center position on DraftKings, I think he makes a lot of sense. I hope it's not the one game. He's eventually going to have a bad game, and that's it's going to happen. But it's hard to not ride a hot player, especially when their price tag hasn't caught up. Like, as soon as his price tag catches up, like, let's say he puts up 50 plus fantasy points here tonight, then if they finally look at the data and say, oh wow, okay, he's dropping 50 plus fantasy points every day, he should be at least 10K. And let's say they jack his price up to 10K the next day or following days, that's when I might come off him, especially if he's in a bad matchup, right? He's gonna come down to earth probably soon. But it looks like this is a guy to watch. I'm going to have to tune into this guy, Victor Wembanyama from the Washington Wizards, or from the San Antonio Spurs, playing the Washington Wizards.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.